Have you ever heard of zombies before? The dead who have arisen from the earth and want nothing more than to feast on human brain. Who want nothing more than want nothing more. I'm hungry. Left 4 Dead is a pretty fun game. I would know. It was made during the golden era of Valve, meaning it had the same quality of content as other such beloved titles like Half-Life, Portal, Team Fortress 2, and many others. I'm very tired while recording this, so it's not going to be very good. But this time, it introduced something revolutionary. Something nobody's ever heard of, ever. Zombies! Ooh! See, it's funny because everything around that time was zombies. There was like 17 million zombie games, movies, TV shows. Even Spider-Man was a zombie for a minute for some reason. And with these many depictions, there also came a lot of different portrayals on what a zombie apocalypse would look like. So that's what I'll be talking about today. How Left 4 Dead portrays the future. Ooh yeah. I believe this game can be broken down into 3 different parts: the moment-to-moment gameplay, the in-depth lore, and the overall theme. I believe all these work in tandem very well, as the portrayal of the world can be viewed from different perspectives and all of them will be accurate. An example being, if someone prefers going "Die Lobster," emphasizing the more goofy theme, while the only story you're thinking about is, man, I gotta get to this safe room before these lobsters get me, then you can have as good of an experience compared to someone who would rather spend their time investigating and looking deeper into the actual story and lore and seeing how dark the world really is. Okay, so the lore.
Hell yeah!
After a mysterious virus dubbed the Green Flu is discovered in Pennsylvania, it quickly spreads across the entire country, infecting everybody, and everybody dies. Well, except for these guys. Bill, Francis, Zoe, and Lewis. These are the survivors that happen to be immune to the virus, and the protagonists of the first game. They're not immune to the protagonists of the first game, they are the protagonists of the first game. Throughout the story, they find themselves running from safe room to safe room in order to find some sort of rescue via military. But every time they get rescued, the rescuer turns into a zombie. Man, such bad luck. While this is going on, 4 other immune survivors, Coach Ellis, Rochelle, and Nick across the country at Savannah, Georgia, find themselves in a very similar situation, gunning through hordes of zombies to find safety. However, after finding what CEDA, Civil Emergency and Defense Agency, were doing at one of these rescue points, they decided to follow a rumor that New Orleans was the last standing city in America, and figured that was their best option. As it turned out, New Orleans had fallen before they even got there, and the military had begun bombing the city. So they thought, even though they didn't trust them, their best option was to find where the military were and hopefully seek refuge. After just barely beating the bombing of the bridge, oh Jesus, they are rescued by a military helicopter. And they all live happily ever after. Right? Well, let's cut back to our protags from the first game. After getting rescued by the military for the 100th time, they finally make it to one of their bases, when it's revealed that the survivors were never immune to the virus, but instead asymptomatic carriers, therefore causing the deaths of their multiple heroic saviors. Furthermore, the military had planned on testing and experimenting on the survivors for research. However, because of a very convenient rebellion amongst the military, the survivors were able to escape. Now, what actually happens to Nick, Ellis, Coach, and Rochelle after they're taken away from the military? Well, luckily for us, that question is answered in the next game, Left 4 Dead 3. But overall, I think the lore shows how society split into two factions. The civilians, who are more bonded, therefore care more about each other than the rest of the world, and the government, who care about saving the world by any means necessary. This sounds pretty dark, but trust me, this game has some really fun game.
Mister, I don't think I like your attitude.
The normal gameplay loop of Left 4 Dead, I would say, is fairly simple. 8 playable characters spread across 2 different titles have to make their way from one side of the map to the other while scavenging the land for supplies and, more importantly, weapons to help them mow through hordes of the undead that have claimed the land. But these zombies, well,
They're changing. God damn it, Bill. Oh, it stinks.
you have the fat zombies, you have the crackhead zombies, you have the emo zombies, and tons more, including my personal favorite, the roided out tank zombie.
He just threw a flipping car at me! I'm inside the car! No!
Anyways, I believe the gameplay very clearly focuses more on having the player have a pleasant time playing than emphasizing anything else. That's why even though the whole world went to hell, there's never really an everlasting dread or anything of the sort, which honestly makes the experience much more appealing. The characters themselves always seem to be having a happier time than the depressing one. I wouldn't want to live in this world, however, because it's so entertaining, I really want to see more of this world and these characters. Valve. Anyways, after all the jokes and quips made by the main characters, I sometimes forget that this game is supposed to be an action horror game. Which probably says something about the ever-changing goofiness in a serious setting. This is a theme not original to Left 4 Dead, but definitely embraced. In the game, through all the dark and gloomy imagery, we have a very colorful cast of characters. While certainly not the most complex, they certainly add a lot of heart to this otherwise heartless world. It is definitely the end of everything for them, yet they choose to ignore it either through perseverance or just stubborn ignorance. You can see this theme in many different mediums, and it's probably because we can relate to it. Remember during the end of the world, everyone was scared and fighting over toilet paper and such, but everyone still went out of their way to make fun of that one Gal Gadot video? Even I can personally relate to the theme. I remember during lockdown, I thought the world was gonna end, but I still did stuff like this. Monkey. Relatability makes the theme easy to digest, but it doesn't lose any quality through its simplicity. Oh, I'm also supposed to talk about if the future is realistic. Uh, no, I guess. There, though there are elements that can be relatable, the overall world is way too saturated with science fiction elements to be considered realistic. So, okay, bye bye, I'm very tired.